So Spencer, let's get to the pre-market price action. You're down and you're down hard by about 15%. Let's talk about the guidance first. How can you turn this around?
Yeah, I mean, look, anytime the stock price declines like this, it's painful in the short term. The reason I think the price is reacting this way is because one of our four marketplaces, our rentals business, about 10% of revenue, missed guidance, and as a result, we lowered. So it's disappointing, but we think the long-term story is intact. The way we turn around and where we move forward from here is, of course, by improving the rentals business, but more generally, what we announced yesterday is a really important acquisition, which we think expands the size of our addressable market and really can allow this company to become a lot bigger.
Let's talk about the acquisition. You raised capital recently. You haven't really told us much about the financials around this acquisition. Can I assume that the capital you've already raised is for this acquisition?
No, it was a pretty small deal, so not material, so we didn't disclose the amount. We raised about 650, 700 million in an offering, so now we have about 1.5 billion of cash. This acquisition was relatively small, 300 employees, but very strategic. So it's a mortgage originator. It brings Zillow into the mortgage origination business. The reason that's so important is a couple months ago we started our Zillow offers business where we're buying and selling homes. And when we sell a home, we want to have a mortgage attached to that home, so a buyer of our home can buy the home seamlessly, someday digitally, and in order to do that, we want to originate the mortgage.
Spencer,
so that's what yesterday's acquisition
that when
was
you
about.
run a company, you're planning for the long term, and sometimes the market is thinking about the current cycle we're in. Many people might say it's a pretty interesting time to be getting into mortgage origination at this point of the cycle. Are you sort of struggling to convince investors right now that that was the right thing to do?
We don't really look at the economic or macro or mortgage cycle when making decisions like this. We look at our cycle. Our cycle looks like this. We're a 12-year-old company. It started with estimates and valuations. People came to us to figure out what their house is worth. It expanded into listings, rentals, new construction, a number of other businesses. Here we are today with this huge brand, 150 plus million people coming to our site every month. A lot of them want a mortgage. And we make money selling advertising of mortgage lenders, but we think we can make a lot more money if we're selling a home ourselves, a home that we own, by having a mortgage originated by us. So that for us is the cycle that we look at. It's our company's life cycle, not the economic cycle.
I get that you want to be closer to the transaction. That seems to be the strategy. I actually caught up with famed short seller Steve Eisman recently, in fact just a couple of weeks ago, who is short your company. He's talking about you guys getting into the home flipping business, low margin, you won't make money. Your view on that and why you think actually it's not home flipping. What is it?
Yeah, so it's not home flipping, it's a service to a seller. And the reason I take issue with the term home flipping is home flipping really misunderstands the size of the opportunity. So what we've seen in the data so far is this is broadly appealing to nearly every homeowner that wants to avoid the hassle of selling their home traditionally. And what we see in the data so far is $2.5 billion of real estate have asked us to bid on it. In Phoenix, in just the first couple months, 15% of all the homes that are selling in Phoenix, we're getting looks at that real estate. The 10,000 home sellers have come through our funnel asking us to bid. So home flipping is something small on the margins. What this is a service that's broadly appealing. That's why we think it's so interesting. Now, having mortgage origination revenue that we can attach to the sale of a Zillow-owned home, that allows us to monetize in yet another way. And our core and traditional Premier Agent business is also attached to the Zillow offers business because a home seller who doesn't take our offer wants to connect with a Premier Agent. So that listing lead generation opportunity to Premier Agent is additive to the core. So we think this is very much on strategy. It expands how big this company can get. Others, of course, are entitled to disagree.